All right, now a quick update on the blinking goggles project. So earlier we had the servo hooked up to the iris with the light, and I was manually just triggering it and it was opening and closing all on its own. But now, with a little bit of help from Ounce of Tech, we have some new code loaded up to the DigiSpark, and I have a photoresistor wired in to analog pin 3. Analog pin 3. We tried a couple of different analog pins on the DigiSpark, and for some reason or another they didn't work, but analog pin 3 did, so that's the one that it's triggered off of. And if I take, so right now it's I've got light on obviously, but if I cover the sensor, it's not bright, a big enough difference in brightness to change it. But if I get my super bright LED flashlight, now that will mimic the reflection of an eye whenever my eye is open, and then whenever I blink to close my eye, that light reflection will be reduced, and so it'll close it. So I think once we get the value of brightness set properly and the angle of the photoresistor set up, this should work pretty easily. Now right now I just have it set up for one servo and all that stuff, but like I've said before, we'll have a LED on each eye, and then also we're going to have a photoresistor for each eye, and then whenever you blink independently, they should mimic each eye independent of each other. So that's gonna be pretty slick. So yeah, I guess that's kind of where I'm at right now. The next step is to go ahead and mount the photoresistor inside the iris goggles, and that way I can mount it to my face, and we can play with different angles of this and different values of light sensitivity to get that to trigger off of my eyes being open or closed. So if you want to stick around for a little while, I'm going to just keep streaming, and I'm going to start working on getting one of these photoresistors into the goggles. And if you have any questions, I'm going to just be looking up every now and then and checking on those, and I'll try to answer, any questions you'll have. So hope y'all enjoy the rest of this little stream. All right, so we've got our photoresistor here, just like that one, and I think this is a 200 ohm resistor. It's the same one that I'm using for the LED, and it just happened to work. So I'm going to go ahead and fire up my soldering iron, and what we're going to do is we're going to make a little harness. I'll just do that right there, so that I can basically have the resistor on soldered onto the leg, and then run a wire from the inside out to the board. I'm not going to do anything too crazy. I'm not going to install the Arduino or anything yet, but I want to, kind of like what I did with this LED, have like a remote wire that runs to the board. So now I just need to get a wire. I should have one around here somewhere. All right, this will do. So we've got some thinner gauge wire that's pretty long. Let's go ahead and cut and strip that. All right. So we'll tin these up real quick once I find my solder. Everything's all, I had to clean my bench up a little bit, and whenever you clean up a mess, then you can't find stuff, right? That's how that goes. Alrighty, so an interesting thing, and I mentioned this in my previous video, is that this photoresistor looks like an LED. It has a longer leg, like LEDs do with the anode, that goes to positive. However, this photoresistor, from what I've seen, only works whenever you put positive, or it works best whenever you feed positive through the shorter leg. Kind of strange. I don't know what is going on with that. But the way we have it set up right now, we're taking ground, just going directly from the longer leg to ground, so I'll just solder that in real quick. And then there's the resistor that goes to the positive, or a resistor that goes between the other leg and positive, the 5 volts. All right, we'll get my handy blue tack, stick that in there, and solder in the long leg to ground. All right, so that's good. And then we'll take the resistor. I'm going to go ahead and trim these up so it's not crazy long. Like that. I tinned that other leg and then I cut it off. Yeah. Oops. Alrighty. So now I need to feed this to positive. And what else? This is going, oh my goodness, that's a fail. Let's get that soldered on properly. All right, that should work. So this side of the resistor goes to positive 5 volts, and then I'm pulling a signal off here. Maybe I should reconsider this and do just a wire coming off this for the signal, and then at the end of the wire that plugs into here, I can jump it from 5 volts to ground. That makes more sense. I'm not sure if that was clear, but it'll make sense here in a second. So basically, I'm just gonna, instead of running 3 wires to it, I'm just gonna run 2, and then I'll do the jump from the resistor on the board so that I'm not fiddling with a bulky connector. There we go. All right. Make sure that one is not just going to pop off. Cool. Okay, so now this one's ready to go to the board. And like I was saying, so here's the photoresistor on the opposite end where we're going to have the other 2 ends that go to the board. I'll go ahead and strip and tin these so I can push them into the board. Come on. There we go. If you don't tin the wires, it makes it pretty difficult to actually press them into the board. So I always just like to tin them, and then that makes it where the wire braid is a little bit stiffer. All right. Yep, that looks good. Got a little bit of a blob on this one. You want these to be relatively clean because if they're getting pushed into the board, a blob will hang things up. There we go. So we got 2 nice clean wires. Okay, so what I'm thinking is if we come back over here and we take the ground, and that goes to ground, so we'll plug that in similar to this one over here. Okay, so I can take that one out. And then I've got positive, but instead of going directly to positive, what I'll be doing is I'll be coming here. Whoa, calm down. Like that. So now I'm getting positive, or my 5 volts through this resistor, and now that's connecting this to the output, or the analog input. So if I hit this one, perfect. Okay, so far so good. All right, and I didn't have to run 3 wires, which makes me happy. All right, now let's see about snaking all this through the goggles. All right, let's just clean up a little bit. So what I'm thinking is I'll have this LED run through. I drilled, so these are still the very first models that I printed, and I went ahead and drilled a couple of holes. You can see from the goggles into the iris box, and in the new design I've made a little cutaway so you can just like lay the wires in. It'll be a lot easier, but for now I think I'm gonna have to fish these wires through. So I'm gonna unplug this real quick now that I know it works. And I'm going to, what's the easiest way? Probably to turn off the servo, like this, and then manually open the iris box so I can get at it, and then fish. You can see the hole in there. And now I'm going to fish these wires through. Oh, there's a camera in my way. All right. Perfect. Whoop, almost perfect. There we go. There we go. So, I probably should put some hot glue on the positive end so I don't squeeze them together and get short. Let's just real quick throw some hot glue on there. Good enough. And then the trick is to touch the hot glue when it's really, really hot so that it like completely bonds to your skin. That way, oh, it hurts. Okay. So we'll just pull this. Hopefully that fits through the hole. I think I might have just made my life a little bit more difficult. Here, I'm going to squeeze that together now that I know that they can't touch. And what I might do actually is do a little bit of a bendy bend. It's not going to look pretty, but it'll at least hold the position of the sensor how I want. Oh man, that's not how I want it. I want it more like recessed in. So maybe an even sharper, like a more of a bend. Let's see here. Something like that maybe. Yeah, that looks like that might work. So I think we're gonna have to hot glue oh, that's good. I keep shorting out the LED, that's why it keeps blinking. I need to put some hot glue on that too. Hot glue everywhere. Let's just fix this real quick. Oh boy. So what was happening was the legs on the LED, I just threw this together real fast. This is not final, this is just kind of prototyping. And the two legs after the resistor were touching where I had soldered them to the wires, and that's why whenever it shorts, the LED just turns off. Once that hardens, we're gonna hot glue that other photoresistor in place. I don't know, I think that might actually work really well, like having it inside. I mean, I think the best way to, and again, this is probably going to be change as I try it and figure out what doesn't work, but having the photoresistor point straight back at the eye, I think is the best bet. So let's grab the hot glue gun and see what we can do to make that stay put where I want it. Alright, so I'm guessing I'll just put some hot glue on that and then hold it with some tweezers and send her in. Alright. Something like that maybe? Hopefully that sticks. Cool, okay. Yeah. And then obviously it's not perfect, but I think just for testing purposes that will hold it roughly in the position that we can test some different values out with. All right, let's put this up. All right, whoop, got some strings all over my hands. Okay, I'm fighting invisible spiders. Let's see here. Now I have a mess of wires. All right, let's untangle this. Very good. Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do is plug these back in, and then I know it's not gonna work because it takes too high of a brightness to trigger, but I'll put it on my face and we'll just kind of give it a go as far as if I can see out of the goggles with the photoresistor there. So okay, positive goes to this rail here, going to the resistor and back to the Arduino pin, and then this goes to ground. All right, very good. So this should, oh, I unplugged the servo. So we'll take the servo, we'll plug that back in. There we go. All right, so did I mess something up? I think this should be closed. Let's see. Something's not working right. Let's see here. There it goes. Okay. So yeah, that is working. I'm just gonna give it a shot. I know it's not gonna work, but let's see here. Yep, it definitely is not bright enough to trigger. So that's set up so that we can now test some values, different resistors and different values in the program, and it should trigger off of whenever my eye is reflecting enough light to the photoresistor. And I can again reposition that and change this. And I might have to change this to an infrared LED. I don't know, there's gonna be a bunch of different things we're gonna try, but this is a good platform for me to just be messing with all that and swap some stuff out to make it work. Once we get this system working, so when I blink my eye and this is reflecting off my open eye and this triggers off of that, then I'm gonna reprint everything. I have a new design of the Iris goggles that will be more easy to print and is fits into the frame a lot better, a lot more easy to locate it. And then also I've updated the frame here to accommodate for the DigiSpark and the extra wires being soldered in, and then of course the LEDs and all this stuff. This gets a little bit wider. There's some, you know, small things that make just getting everything put inside of it a lot easier. So yeah, I think that's it for now. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me take a quick look at the comments. All right, we got a couple. I'm sorry if I say your name wrong, but is it Pratik Mokashi? He says, put the infrared LED in receiver pointing in your eye. Normal LED won't trigger it. Okay, well, we'll give it a shot. I think because using this triggers it whenever it's all plugged in, that does show that visible light will trigger it. But this might be more sensitive to infrared light. And so, like I said, I really like the looks of having the red LED. I'm gonna try to make that work. If that does not work, then we're gonna switch over to these infrared LEDs, and it'll be hopefully working no problem. So yeah, all right guys, again, leave comments so that I can answer them at the end of the streams, and I'll send you all an update here in a little bit. I will see you next time.